Part of the future of European energy and how the continent powers itself is playing out in southwestern Louisiana's inhospitable bayous. The coast along the Gulf of Mexico is home to many of the U.S.'s plants that turn natural gas into liquefied gas, or LNG. It's become essential for Europeans ever since they stopped purchasing Russian gas.
Because of the war in Ukraine, Europe has had to diversify its sources of energy. LNG has played a big part in helping with that diversification because there are only limited options when it comes to other sources of gas supplies.
This plant is co-owned by French company Total Energy. The corporation has become the #1 exporter of American LNG.
The United States has played a big role when it comes to supplying liquefied natural gas to Europe, including France. To give you an idea, between 2021 and 2022, France doubled its total imports of LNG, but quadrupled its imports of American LNG.
The gas is funneled through pipelines from Texas and Louisiana gas fields before it's cleaned up to retain only the methane.
We're treating the gas, we're trying to remove the contaminants that potentially could freeze out in our cold section of the plant. So it's critical that we remove the CO2, the H2S. Inside the MCHE is where we actually have the phase change between natural gas and liquid natural gas. So the overhead, which is approximately minus 260 degrees Fahrenheit, is transferred over to our in-flash knockout drum, and the liquid is transferred from cryogenic pumps into our LNG storage tanks.
Liquefying gas is the only way to transport it overseas because there are no pipelines that connect North America to Europe. And as a liquid, it takes up 600 times less volume than in its gaseous form, and it can be loaded on tankers which cross the Atlantic in 15 days.
This tanker contains about 1 day's worth of natural gas for all of France. This is where we load the liquefied gas onto the tankers using pipes like these, which are insulated. That's because we have to keep the LNG cold during the entire loading process and, of course, during the trip as well.
There are 7 terminals like this one in the United States, and there are plans for 15 more. After Russia invaded Ukraine, the Biden administration made it easier to approve construction permits for these types of plants, and that's something environmental activists are trying to stop.
It's been marketed very well as a natural, clean, green fuel, but the truth is we're extracting carbon from the ground, releasing massive amounts of methane into the air with both the extraction and the piping, the massive amounts of energy required to freeze the gas into a liquid and transport it overseas, regasify it, pipe it to the end user. I don't think there's a long-term need for that if we're really serious about getting off of fossil fuels and of getting off of releasing carbon into the atmosphere.
It will be years before these LNG plants are actually operational, and only 1/3 of them will be used for gas that is sent to Europe. But James believes that fossil fuel companies are using the war in Ukraine as an opportunity to boost their industry.
They want to continue building out petrochem and LNG facilities to maximize profit and drive revenue. And so to keep pushing more gas for a free Europe is just a lie.
79% of American natural gas comes from fracking, forcing fractures in rock layers by using sand, water, and chemical products. It's a technique that is banned in several European countries. But Eric Festa still believes gas is essential to the transition toward renewable energies.
The share of coal being used went from 50% to 20% in just 15 years, and that's thanks to gas. Natural gas is a good way to produce electricity in a controllable and flexible way, so it's the best source that we've found to continue to encourage the development of renewable energy.
One thing is certain, the war in Ukraine has made the United States the #1 exporter of LNG in the world, ahead of Qatar and Australia. But it remains to be seen whether this industry is compatible with the 2050 net zero emission target that both the US and Europe have committed to.